Winter is coming. For some, it's already here. And for many, it brings with it a sense of the winter blues, this low mood, a sense of anxiety or depression or overwhelm. We even have a label for it, Seasonal Affective Disorder. Today, I want to take us through 5 tips that are going to help you navigate the winter blues and step into a more empowered experience of winter. Welcome to the channel. I'm Kim Marie, and if you are a woman on a mission to overcome self-doubt and step into your more empowered true self, you're in the right place. That is what this channel is dedicated to. And today I want to take us through the opportunity to really feel empowered as we step into the winter. Winter is actually the season of the divine feminine, and we as women can really tap into that and use it to our benefit. And be sure to stay to the end, because I've got a couple of really powerful tools that are going to help you navigate the winter way more beautifully and way more empowered than maybe you ever have before. All right, before I get to the first tip, I want you to share with me in the comments what about winter is challenging for you. If anything, maybe you love winter. Maybe it's not a big deal for you, but you would just like to feel a little bit better about how you navigate it or how to enjoy it a little bit more. But share with me in the comments any feelings that you have as you think about winter approaching. The first tip that I want to offer is what I call tending the hearth. We want to tend the hearth. And no, I don't just mean our fireplace hearth, although tending our winter cozy fires is a wonderful thing to do to help us to feel better. But I'm talking also about really kind of assessing our overall space and our environment. We want to look around and know that this winter is a more inward time. Maybe we're not going to go out as much as we normally might in the summer. It is the time of hibernation, turning in. So look around and see, do we need to declutter certain spaces and clear things away? Do we need to set some candles out? Maybe light some candles with intention around what we're doing or what we're experiencing in the space that we're in. We might want to set up an altar for ourselves, a place where we can come and maybe draw an oracle card, maybe do some journaling, maybe do some meditating, and really connect with things that help us find an inner light as the outer light is growing ever more dim. That is what I mean by tending the hearth. The hearth is sort of the platform of our home, our space, what we call our nurturing environment. We want to pause to really honor the nourishment of our space, okay? To take it in, to enjoy it. And if it's not nourishing, we want to consider different things we can do to nourish it. The second thing I want to share is to meet the season. Now, what I mean by meet the season is we need to remember that we are nature. We're going to experience the ebb and flow of nature's rhythms just as everything in nature will. Everything of nature will. And so often we're not willing to meet the season. Life, our patriarchal dominance culture of do, and make things happen and push forward doesn't allow for us to turn inward and slow down and simply be. And that is part of what all of nature around us is doing, which we need to consider, what does that look like for us? How can we turn inward? How can we slow down? How can we do things differently for ourselves, right? We want to also enjoy meeting the cold and the darkness. And maybe that means, buying the right gear, a nice warm, cozy coat and hat and mittens that you just love putting on, that feel, just like a big hug when you put them on, so that you don't feel like that, oh, I hate going out in the cold, I hate that tension. If you're anything like me, you go out into the cold, you can tense up and your whole back and muscles and neck and everything start to ache because we're tensing up in the cold. But if you go out with some proper warm gear to meet the weather, then suddenly you don't feel quite so vulnerable. You don't feel quite such dread. And that fresh air, that crisp, cool, fresh air can feel amazing as a rejuvenating, energizing force to us in the winter. So we really want to meet the season for what it is and embrace the cold, embrace the darkness, and allow ourselves to enjoy that. Enjoy the firelight, the candlelight, those kinds of things, and actually meet the season. We also want to get ourselves outside in it, get ourselves into the winter season, feel the cold on our skin, allow for ourselves to step outside, feel the energy, enjoy the sunlight in the middle of a cold, wintry day, right? Or even just enjoying the slowness. We can go for a slow walk. We can enjoy a slower pace in our home. This is what I mean by meet the season. We want to really embrace that winter is a slower time. It is a time for pause. It is a time for reflection. It is a time for cold and darkness. And so the more we resist it, the more we're going to keep fighting against it. Whereas if we can learn to embrace it and feel that warm hug of the winter clothing or the fire, and the candlelight, things like that, it makes a huge difference in our experience of the winter. Number 3, we want to honor the feminine calling. I mentioned that winter is a season associated with the feminine. Now, the feminine calling is about calling us into ourselves, calling us to remember our inner light when the outer light is dim and dark and the days are shorter and we don't have as much of that outer sunlight. It's actually an opportunity to be invited into ourselves, to reconnect with who we are, to go to our depths. It's also inviting us to notice our intuition and honor the levels of uncertainty, perhaps a little bit of chaos or confusion that darkness can bring for us. It's really like a womb space that we're being called to visit and sit with and connect with. It's also very much about allowing those depths to be stirred up. The feminine is often connected with meeting our shadows. And we have this time of the year, if we're willing to pay attention to it, to allow some of that to come up. Now, this can be difficult and it can be painful, and this is why I think so many of us can get pulled into that anxiety or the depression, or we have that seasonal affective disorder that kicks in when we don't have something to counterbalance that. And sadly, our culture tends to turn to more escapist type of things instead of embracing it for what it is. When you start to realize that the winter and this feminine calling is calling you to your depths. It's asking you to meet the shadows. It's asking you to see what needs to be let go of, what needs to be moved on from, what new possibilities are being birthed. You know, birth is very much a feminine quality. We want to allow for the flow of that and maybe let go of some of the rigidity and the ways that we want things to continue to be. We tend to hold things and want them to be the same, and then we just escape when they can't be that way. So instead of escaping, the invitation here with the feminine calling is to invite you into yourself, invite you into the season, into what is trying to come forth within you, and allow for that level of uncertainty and ambiguity to maybe stir something new up within you that may show up in the new year. Number 4 for navigating the winter blues is to center, ground, and connect. Now, what do I mean by that? This might be meditation, walking, breathing, presencing, or any of those kinds of things that actually help us to come into ourselves, to connect with the present moment, to be here now. Now, a couple of simple, very, very, very simple exercises that I love to always remember is, one is simply feel your feet. Right? The winter can make us want to escape, to kind of leave our body, to separate ourselves from the here and now. But if we feel our feet and remember that our feet are on the ground, connected with the earth also turning inward and deepening into this beautiful, rejuvenating winter season, we presence ourselves, we connect with ourselves, we don't escape so easily. Another aspect that I love to think about is what I call the pelvic bowl. It's like whenever you're sitting or standing, you can kind of feel into the bowl of your pelvis and ground yourself there. That's kind of the center of your energy, the center of your gravity, right? The center of your being, even spiritually speaking, where we can ground into that center, into our belly, into the pelvic bowl, and notice our existence, right? Allow ourselves to be here now. We want to resist that tendency to escape and retreat and withdraw, but only to a point of not like isolating ourselves. It actually is a time to turn inward, and so we don't need to be going to every holiday party and every gathering and every activity and trying to keep up with everything. We want to find a really good balance. But it's a very beautiful time to connect with what really matters, to connect with who you love, the people you really want to spend time with, right? So connect with others of your choosing. You don't have to be connected with everything or in the space of everything. It's really okay to back off for the sake of your own centering and grounding and connection to what is really most important to you. Another way we can connect and center ourselves is to nourish ourselves. Ask ourselves, what is nourishing me right now? How am I being nourished? This might be through your food. It might be through a warm bath. It might be through a walk in the woods. It might be through just feeling the sunlight on your face through the window, or having a great conversation with a special friend, right? How am I nourishing myself? What am I doing that gives me that nourishment, that sense of presence, that sense of connection, that sense of the ground beneath my feet? And we also want to mind our energy. Again, our energy can kind of escape us. This is part of why we tend to escape, because the energy can be frantic and crazy and chaotic with holidays, uncertainty, unknown, all of these energies of the feminine can put us into a bit of a state of chaos. But out of chaos comes order. Out of the uncertainty comes something new. Out of the void is birthed something special, something sacred, something new for the future. So we want to honor that and really allow ourselves to mind our energy by not going into things that don't feel right for us, paying attention to what's energizing us and what's depleting us, and really kind of nurturing ourselves along those lines. The fifth and final tip I have for navigating the winter more effectively and really overcoming that anxiety and depression and winter blues that we can so often get is to dialogue with your soul. That is the fifth element here that I want to offer. Now, what do I mean by that? This really comes out of a favorite tool that I have for deepening into connection with myself, and that is journaling. One of the tools I want to offer to you, it's a completely free download called Journaling as a Path to Come Home. And one of the tools I share in there is a tool called dialogue journaling. And this is where you dialogue with like an inner part of yourself, or even just dialogue with your soul, specifically asking a part of you that maybe knows better, and you just allow the free writing. And you can do this not just through writing, you can do it through conversation, right? Some of us will have these amazing insights while soaking in the tub or taking a shower or going out for a walk. And, we might pose a question out into the universe, out into the world, and then we hear something back. And often we don't pay attention to what we hear back. And what we hear back might very well be our soul speaking to us. And sometimes our soul speaks to us in images, in dreams, in pictures, in symbols. And so what are you noticing? What kinds of symbols and images or dreams, or maybe even animals and whatnot, are showing up to offer you a message from your soul that might be important for you? And the journaling is so great because you can sit down, you can literally kind of pose yourself a question. You could write out the question, express what you're feeling about it, and then put down, soul, as if it's like a script, and then wait for what wants to be said. And trust whatever you're writing. Let yourself free write into that, because when you do that, you converse with these new expressions of yourself. You give yourself a chance to open up to what wants to come forth within you and actually listen to it, right? So often we're in this busy hustle and bustle, yet it's a time of turning inward. But what do we do with that inward time? Well, this is one of those really powerful tools that really can help you turn in. This tool of journaling, dialoguing with your soul, opening up. Now, I said I had a particularly special tool, and this, if you want to go deeper into this and have some journaling experience that is very specific to the winter, to a time when the veil is very thin, where we can almost hear messages from our soul more clearly. Many of us start to dream more potently or remember our dreams, or maybe we're having a lot more intuition. That is actually the intention of nature, right? During these darkest times, we are meant to get more from sort of this other world, if you will, this beyond the material existence where we have intuition, we have other things showing up for us that are guiding us on our path. And if we journal consciously during the darkest nights of the winter, we're going to get more messages from our soul and for the coming year. So I have my annual Sacred Nights of Winter journal, and this year's theme is around connecting with sacred feminine. So we're going to tune into this beautiful feminine energy of the winter. We're going to dive in with these amazing journaling prompts. There's a community that's completely included with the journal, and I offer nightly videos as an added boost with added teachings. And there's a whole space of tuning in as a community and a collective with a community oracle card that I draw for everybody each night. So you're getting so much more than a journal, and the link is in the description. So be sure to take a look at both the link for the free download, which is the Journaling as a Path to Come Home. That's going to give you some free guidance on just basic journaling. But if you want to go deeper and you'd like a journaling tool that's going to help you navigate the winter more powerfully, be sure to take a look at the Sacred Nights of Winter journal, Connecting with Sacred Feminine. That's being offered right now, and you can have it delivered to your door in a hard copy, beautiful spiral-bound booklet, or you can also have a digital download in a PDF format. Either one is going to work beautifully for you depending on your preference. It ships all over the world. Of course, if you're outside of the US, it may take a longer time. You might want the digital download, but I highly recommend these. These are 5 tips. I hope that they've proven to be super helpful for you to ward off the winter blues, to navigate the winter blues, to help you move through that winter anxiety and depression that can be all too common for many of us, but doesn't have to take us down. There's so many other ways. So be sure to download your free journal guide and take a look at the Sacred Nights of Winter journal. Be sure to share this with others. You know what? When you go through the winter on the same page as others, it's amazing what you can do together and in community and in connection. And if you're all doing the journal, then, conversing with each other, sharing your insights, that can be a powerful way of offering that connection that I mentioned earlier. Let's embrace winter together and move through it with greater joy and peace and happiness. Until next time.